This is the port of Berbera, located along the Red Sea in Somaliland. It's become the epicenter of the recent tensions in the Horn of Africa. On January 1, 2024, Ethiopia signed a memorandum of understanding with Somaliland to use the port of Berbera and lease 20 kilometers of coastal land for 50 years. However, Somalia has condemned Ethiopia for what it deems an illegal infringement on its sovereignty and territorial integrity. Somalia considers Somaliland as part of its own territory, while Somaliland sees itself as an independent nation. Somaliland has its own government, constitution, passport, and military. However, the African Union and the United Nations do not recognize it as an independent state. If Ethiopia gets port access, it will become the first country to recognize Somaliland as an independent nation. This move could further strain the already tense relationship between Somalia and Ethiopia. Ethiopia, faced with landlocked challenges, has long sought sea access to boost economic growth, military development, and regional influence. Ethiopia relies on the port of Djibouti for 95% of its imports and exports, which comes at a price of $1.5 billion every year. However, things were not always like this, as Ethiopia at one point had access to the Red Sea. Ethiopia and Eritrea had initially formed a federation intended to last for a decade. However, towards the conclusion of this period, Ethiopia annexed Eritrea, sparking decades of conflict until Eritrea eventually gained independence, leaving Ethiopia without coastal access. Ethiopia is counting on the mutually beneficial agreement with Somaliland to succeed, but Somalia is opposed. During the colonial era, the British occupied the territory that is now Somaliland, while the Italians controlled the rest of Somalia. Upon gaining independence, British and Italian Somaliland merged to form the Somali Republic on July 1, 1960, with the adoption of a new constitution in 1961. However, this constitution faced opposition in former Somaliland, as it was perceived to favor the southern regions. Consequently, discontentment grew in the north, leading to a decline in support for the Union. In 1969, Siad Barre seized power in a coup that would see Somalia under military rule for decades. His leadership faced increasing opposition, which was further exasperated after Somalia's defeat in the Ogaden War by Ethiopia. Due to increased opposition, Barre deployed Somali special forces against clan dissidents opposing his dictatorial regime. In the 1980s, members of the Isaaq clan joined forces to establish the Somali National Movement, a resistance movement launching attacks from Ethiopia and sparking the Somaliland War of Independence. Simultaneously, other clan-based rebel groups across Somalia engaged in combat against the Somali armed forces, resulting in the government's collapse in 1991. Somaliland subsequently severed its voluntary union with Somalia and declared independence, a decision supported by 97% of voters in a 2001 referendum. Somaliland has stayed relatively stable compared to the other regions of Somalia. For now, Somaliland craves recognition, but Somalia wants unification. If the deal succeeds, the geopolitical picture of the region will forever change.